out here after 30 years, yeah, I ain't got nothing, but I'm gonna have something because I'm rich in personality, you know, and I'm rich in love. My family love me, and that's really all that counts. Yeah, man, what they did to Bo, man, they got a 70-year-old inmate, man, to throw acid on Bo, man. Throw acid on Bo. Crazy. I remember, hearing stories about it, man, but I'm reading what Bo had told me about the situation. But yeah, they said, man, he was locked in his cell, man, and they paid a 70-year-old inmate to throw acid on him. They was trying to intend to blind him or to mess his whole face up. But just imagine being locked in a cell, man, and you can't get out, and in the wall, the cells is made of bars, so it's not like a door you can close, it's bars, So someone can just walk up to your cell and throw stuff in there. Dudes used to set cells on fire, throw acid. You had to get the acid or something like that from a CO. Throw acid in there on you, put a knife on the end of a broomstick and just stab you through the bars while you was asleep. All of this type of stuff was going on in the wall. So you talking about that type of elevation of violence, man, that you just literally was in a jungle. You had to be ready to survive at all costs and to do whatever it takes to survive. That's just how it was. So just imagine, man, him being locked in that cell and someone coming to that cell and just, you look up and they try to throw acid on you. Acid, man. It's crazy, man. So, yeah, it said, he says here, in his letter, he says, soon after the sergeant and a couple of officers paid a 70-year-old white prisoner to throw acid on me while I was locked in my cell. They let the white prisoner out to come kill me. The acid would have blinded me, but my hair at the time, I had a big afro back then in them 70s, them dudes still wearing them super fly afros. So the afro might have literally saved his face and saved his blindness. He said that the afro was so long that the acid dripped off his head and onto his shoulders and burnt most of his right arm and his shoulder. He said the marks from the acid is still on me to this day. Still on me. The scars, the scar tissue and stuff from that incident is still on him to this day, man. And that's just crazy in itself, man. That's crazy in itself. Just to imagine, like I say, you in prison and you going through these type of things. These is the type of things that when you hear out here, people that's out here in society, we hear these type of things, man. We see these type of things in movies. We see these type of things in the theaters. This is the type of lifestyle that was going on in prison. This is the type of survival that you had to go through to make it through prison. This is the type of stuff that I came into in the 80s that had already been happening in the 60s and in the 70s and stuff. And I'm coming in there and it's still, ever present in prison at that time. Because in the wall, like I say, the wall was dangerous from its inception until it ended up closing down. Period. You know what I'm saying? When I got there in the 80s, it was still super dangerous. Dudes, like I told y'all, when I got there a couple of days after I got there, I see somebody get killed. So the violence never really stopped during that era, during that time that the wall was built, when the wall was up and running. So you got a young Bo in there at that time, a young lion. He living crazy, he doing crazy things. So he being faced with crazy obstacles at all times. Every time he come out the cell, you got to understand he got to be war ready. He got to be war ready because he done created so much opposition and so many enemies that it can come to him at any time from anywhere. So just imagine living your life like that. Always on guard, always ready to go, always got to be prepared. You never get any rest, you never have any peace, and that's a horrible way to live within itself. It's a horrible way to live within itself, man. I'm telling y'all, young fellas out there, man, y'all just don't know with the things that's out here now, the way people living out here, and the way they living their life, man, or the chances that they taking, and the things that these young people out here doing now, man, you have no idea what awaits you. You have no idea what misery pain and suffering awaits you if you put yourself in that position to go to that foreign country, which is called prison. Trust me, man. Trust and believe. Just reading the stuff just brings all that stuff back up in me. The memories, the feelings, the smell. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Trust me. Let me see. Yeah, he said now fast forward into the 80s, man, where he reached out to the public for support, legal assistance, and help. He said, man, I've been locked up, incarcerated for 48 years straight. So imagine that now. Imagine that anybody out there who hearing this right now and listening to this right now, just imagine being incarcerated in captivity for 48 years straight. That man was locked up since I was 7 years old. 7 years old. That's crazy. That's just crazy, you know. And yeah, 48 years straight doing unjust time, only because of my past. On April the 18th, 1985, there was an uprising in the penitentiary. Several guards were assaulted out on the yard. I was not even out on the yard, but I was sent 3 bogus warrants through the mail. He got served warrants through the mail, felony warrants through the prison mail. Oh man, you can't make this stuff up, man. I was served 3 bogus warrants through the mail, felony assaults. I was found guilty of 2 of them false charges, and 1 of them was dismissed. There was no evidence against me, only the lies from the drug dealing guards and inmates that I had not been paying for their illegal drugs and they were bringing in and selling. So the community of guards and inmates was plotting to get rid of me, and this was part of their plot. The guards and the Commonwealth misled the jury to believe one of the guards' blood was on my bathrobe, which turned out to be an inmate blood who was assaulted by these same drug-dealing guards and other inmates. The Commonwealth own forensic witness testified that was inmate P. I don't want to say his whole name, blood, and not a guard blood that was found on my robe. So another inmate blood was found on Bo Billy's robe after the investigation from, this was a big incident back then. A whole lot of guards, got stabbed up real bad, man. Some of them was, almost lost their life. They got stabbed up real bad, with some inmates back then. All of this occurred because of what he said was going on, drug dealing, money laundering, all types of stuff that was going on between convicts and prisoners at the time, and it all came to a head over money disputes, and some guards got stabbed up. Bo was given charges for that and was blamed as being the ringleader to that, and I think he acquired more time for that, which I explained to y'all in my earlier videos. When stuff like that happens and you get more time in prison, then the sentence that you're doing, at that time you stop doing your sentence that you're doing and you start doing the sentence that you got the time for in prison. And that time is flat time. So say for instance, if I'm doing 20 years and I'm 16, 14 years within my 20-year bit, if I turn around and catch a street charge and catch 30 years, my time stops from doing that 20 years and I start doing 30 years straight. 30 years. So I think, if I ain't mistaken, he ain't put it in here, but I think Bo received for these charges with the stabbings of the police and stuff in excess of 30 to 40 years. So this is the time that he's been doing, and will continue to do unless he can get some type of assistance, some type of legal assistance, some type of help, because that's flat time before he get finished. He would have been finished his sentence already, probably a couple of times over. But because coming in when he came in, it was a 65% law. So he went in initially from his account with 35 years. So he would have been finished his time. So anyway, he's saying that the evidence against me was lies and drug dealing guards, inmates that I had not been paying for illegal drugs to bring it in and selling. And yeah, he said the last 30 years that he done did in prison with a total combined years of 48. So you're talking about 18 years. He probably would have been out of prison mandatory in his sentence, where he done did the last 30 for the charges that he received during this incident that he says that he was totally innocent of. But that's the way they put it on him, because he was public enemy number one and they wanted to get rid of him by any means necessary. Then he also goes on to say that the guards lied on him because of, the bad blood that they had between them. He said he was emotionally upset and wasn't articulate enough to express himself or to explain himself in a court of law, besides the fact that he was already strung out on drugs. So he said he was not mentally, physically, or articulate enough to express himself in the courtroom the way he should have, the way he feel like he is now. So he was convicted, and ended up getting that time. He said, coincidentally, one of the main officers, the sergeant, who lied on him, was later caught, arrested, and sentenced to federal time in the penitentiary 5 years himself. He said he recently filed a actual innocence appeal in Supreme Court. He even has documentation that the state police and the institution investigators saying that he was clear of all involvement with these assaults. If he was clear of all these involvements of the assaults, why is he still locked up? This is his question. This is what I would question as well. If you got him doing all this time for these assaults that occurred while he was in prison and he was cleared of all charges, why is he still doing that time? He said his rights was never read and he did all this time in segregation for these charges. And he said the warrants were served through an institutional mail. All of his rights was violated. And he was given an unjust sentence and sent out of state. And this is where the legend grows of Bo Billy, because I remember this too. They sent him out of state a lot of times, man. He would go to another state, and to my understanding, when he go to another state and he get there, and you're a new inmate, you coming from a whole nother state, don't nobody know you, and you don't know them. So automatically you're gonna be looked at as a foreigner. So when he got to other places and other institutions, I heard he set it off on him. He got busy, did what he had to do. First person got out of line, Bo gave him the business. And Bo ended up going to I see now he said in his letter 5 different states. I just remember, I know the people were saying he was in Texas, he was in Florida. They sent him one time, I think, to the feds. They might have even sent him up there to Lawton one time. But they were sending Bo everywhere. Now, I knew everywhere he went, they say he raised Cain just to get back the way he was and where he was more familiar, on civil soil, where everybody knew who he was and what he was. But when you go to another state and you go in another person's prison, they already got, people that's established up there too as well, and don't nobody know who you are. So you gonna automatically have to set the pace. And that right there is just gonna keep bagging you up if you prevail, because you could get killed. And I think that's what the intentions of them was, sending Bo in other states, hoping that somebody else deal with him and they wouldn't have to deal with him. But in his words, he was like, man, they sent him to all these different states and sent him to all these different prisons just so he couldn't appeal the situation that was going on with the case. And he said his attorneys was working with the Commonwealth and intentionally got him time barred from filing an appeal on time. That means you have a certain amount of time to file an appeal when you feel that it's been a misjustice in your case or a misjustice in your trial. You have a certain time to file an appeal. And if you don't file your appeal within a certain amount of time, you time barred, meaning that if it didn't get in and wasn't filed before this certain amount of time, then you will no longer have any legal rights to file any appeal or anything at all. So you get time barred. So he's saying that the lawyer that he had at the time was a court-appointed lawyer, and they was working with the Commonwealth, and they, was in cahoots to get him time barred. That's why they sent him out of state. He didn't know the law. He's a convict. How is he gonna know the law? This is why lawyers, I always say this is why lawyers go to school so long to know the law. They expect us to know the law. They expect us to know all of these little technicalities that can get us, make us or break us in any type of situation, which is crazy within itself. I feel like if it's law, if it's really about justice, you end up doing what is right for justice, not by no technicality, because the technicality ain't going to help you when you on the other end of the law. Oh, I did this, but the technicality excludes me for this. Nah, it ain't going to help you when you're on the other end of the law, so it should be applied both ways, man. The law should be the law. The law should be meant to get things right, to get things just, and by any means necessary to make sure you do the right thing. That's what the law should be about. But like I say, he says in here, man, they intentionally, messed him around, and I can believe that. I can believe it because of the things that I've experienced. But he ended up getting time barred, so he couldn't even do his appeal. So he goes on to write, man, he said, I'm in dire need of legal assistance or help to hire a qualified attorney. My personal health is in jeopardy now. I have glaucoma in both eyes, which will eventually lead to blindness. I had a blood clot that almost killed me in January of 2021, along with the COVID virus. Thank God I survived it. I'm on blood thinners for the rest of my life right now. I am constantly being denied medical treatment, and other things here at Wallace Ridge State Prison due to my reputation, due to my past, and I'm just in a bind right now where I can use any type of assistance or help that I could get. So if anybody's out here listening to my story, man, or feel like you can help me in any type of way by pointing a lawyer in my direction or any type of help, man, I would appreciate it. And this is what he's saying, and I'm gonna give y'all his address. Hopefully Hollywood Trail, shout out, we'll edit this and be able to post this stuff up there anyway, but I'm not sure. But if not, I'm gonna read it out, man. He said, Wallace Ridge State Prison, P.O. Box 759, Big Stone Gap, Virginia, 24219. And he said y'all can write letters on his behalf or ask the people to check into his situation. You can write the Department of Corrections, Mr. Harold Clark, that is the top supervisor in the DOC in Virginia, Harold Clark, with the Department of Corrections. And he said he need medical care as well, man. So he's asking for any type of help or any type of assistance that anybody would like to give him, man. That is Bo Billy, in his own words, Portsmouth finest. Portsmouth stand up. If you out here from Portsmouth, your comrade, your brother, he needs some assistance, your help. I do what I can do for him. I always answer his calls. I send him a little something every now and then. I feel for his pain. Like I said, I know I'm not sitting here trying to say that he, like he said, he a saint or anything like that. Bo got his demons, he got his problem like we all do. But I know a man that's been locked up 48 years, I can attest to I know what he had to go through. I know what he had to go through to make it this far. And especially in the time and the era that he came up in prison, I know what he had to go through. So just for him to make it through that alone, man, is a testament, man. And like I say, God don't make no mistakes. So he here for a reason, And I don't never want to see a man in prison, perish in prison around all that hate and all that violence, and not around the people who love you and the people who actually care about you, Like I said, man, there's a lot of things that goes on in prison that a lot of people don't know about, It's a lot of politics with it. Just like with Bo's story, he telling you there in the 70s, man, how much corruption and craziness and violence was going on. You got the guards being the main facilitator of the violence and the drugs. They perpetuated that by bringing the drugs into the prisons. You know, all for monetary gains, all for greed. You see what I'm saying? All for greed. And they don't care about the bodies that's dropping, the people that's getting stabbed, the people that's losing their eyes, that's getting, you know, colostomy bags. They don't care nothing about that because they was looking at the monetary value. You see what I'm saying? The monetary value. And then you had the female guards in there. They was looking at the monetary value as well, selling their body, doing this, doing that, just to get that financial upgrade, you know. So when it comes down to money, man, it's a lot of people, you know, do a lot of crazy things. And I don't think that people would look at it any different than dudes in prison because that's what they was doing it for. Everybody was in there doing it for the money. Dudes in the prison was doing it to get high. They catching habits in prison that they can't support. It's just, it was a crazy lifestyle, man. And it's in a controlled environment. So that even makes it worse because you can't get away from it. You can't get around it. There's nowhere else you can go, you know. And, man, I know, like I say, man, I know Bowden went through some stuff. I know he also, in turn, put a whole lot of other people through some stuff and some misery and some families. Because, like I say, he went hard and he went real hard and he didn't care. But that was his mind frame. But I can almost assure you, had he not went as hard as he did, being who he was, he would not be here to tell his story today. He would already have been dead because somebody would have took his life. You know, and I'm quite sure it was several attempts on him, but they all failed. But that was, you know, like I say, a testament to his will to live. He told you at the beginning of his story that even though he had all that amount of time and even though what he was facing, he still wanted to live and get out one day, and he still do now at 66 years old. So, shout out to him, man, for being a warrior, man. Shout out for him for maintaining, man, his sanity to be able to write a letter like that to show you that he's still coherent after all the things he's seen, after all the things he done went through, after all the punishment that he done endured, you know, that he still got enough, you know, to put together a letter to write this comprehensible. So, man, you know, I don't even know what to say, man. If y'all want to know more about him, I'm trying to get him on the phone and do an interview with him, and I'm going to tape it. You know, I'm just trying to sync the calls where I can be ready for him. I'm going to keep y'all updated with his situation. Y'all let me know in the comments, write whatever you want to write, however you feel about it, and I will read them all. I usually try to read all my comments and just breeze through them and at least look at every one of them and check it and read it. So y'all let me know what y'all think about his story, what y'all think about his fight, man. And if anybody out there is willing to help him, the information will be available. Y'all can just rewind this or freeze frame it or whatever, and you can get his address. You got his whole real name, in case y'all want to write him and correspond with him. I told you his name is Henry Gorham, Gorham, and his number is 11-58-927. And the crazy part about it, you'll be able to find out where he at and correspond with him easy through his number than you will his real name, because it is like they say it is. In prison, you ain't even a human being no more. You just a number. You just a number. So, yeah, man. So shout out to the soldier, man, for still being alive and still fighting, man, for his freedom. And everybody else that's in there to still fight for their freedom. Shout out to his homeboy, too, Spook Dust. Another one, top soldier. I may end up doing a story on him one day, too. That is also Portsmouth finest, Spook Dust. And he's actually been locked up even longer than Bo, I believe. Maybe one more year, maybe 49 or 50 years. I was actually in re-entry with him when he was just there to have an operation when I was going through re-entry. So shout out to Spook Dust as well. Shout out to everybody, man, who's still in that belly of that beast, who's still struggling, trying to get out, man, trying to get on this side. I know the fight. I feel your pain. To all the brothers that's out here right now, man, like I say, man, it's a blessing in every lesson, man. And the blessing is that you ain't Bo Billy. You know, you ain't Banky Pound, you ain't Spook Dust. You ain't never got to be. You ain't never got to be none of us, man. You need to stay out here in this free world. You need to get your mind right and don't let nothing put you in jeopardy where you gonna feel like something is greater than your life. It's just like all the stuff going on right now within the media. Just like yesterday, I seen they kill a little young rapper, Young Dolph, you know, in his own hometown. So if that person is ever caught and brought to justice, or if he gets street justice, either way, he has made the decision now that taking another person's life is worth more than your life, because that's essentially what he done gave up, his own life. So who life is worth your life? That's the way you look at them type of situations when you get ready to do something foolish or you got a foolish thought. I told you, anger is one letter away from danger, man. When you get angry, man, you in danger of making a bad decision. So, like I said, no one's life is worth your life. Your life should be your number one priority. You know, self-preservation is the first law of nature. So, be smart out here, man. Y'all make better decisions, man. You don't never want to live that life on the other side, man. And just know that you don't have to. Just make the right decisions when it's called for, and don't never lead with emotions, and don't never lead with anger, man. Stop, think, breathe, make a good decision. Man, in the meantime, I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all keep on rocking with me, man. We got more stories coming. We got more interviews. I'm trying to get in some more HBCUs, so if you know some, put me on. If y'all see me in the streets, pull up on me, man. TBP in the streets. I love y'all out there. Check me out on Instagram. Go to my Instagram, Boxing Bank, man, and on Facebook, and get with me. In the meantime, y'all be safe, be smart, make good decisions. I'll see you next time. Boom.
The banking special.
Yeah.
Pure deliciousness.
Pure deliciousness, man.
My name is Banky, man. Everybody calls me Banky. That's the name that I got from my grandmother when I was young.
I'm coming out here after 30 years. Yeah, I ain't got nothing, but I'm gonna have something because I'm rich in personality, you know, and I'm rich in love. My family love me, and that's really all that counts.